This is Your First Liberties, an assignment, guys, today that we are going to look at what many people consider the most important rule in the United States government, namely the First Amendment of the United States of America. So our goal today, guys, is to basically break down some of the issues and the 5 different things that you get out of the First Amendment of the United States of America. And then, like I said, some of the issues that come with this and what are some of the meanings. So the very first thing you guys have is, what does freedom of speech mean to you? You can fill this out on this open-ended question without too many issues. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Most folks, and there's a nice little picture from Norman Rockwell of somebody standing up at a meeting, where for most folks, guys, it's basically being able to say whatever it is you want to say at any given point in time without any kind of restrictions or any major issues that go along with it. That's what most people would say. But we're going to talk about what the freedom of speech basically looks like. So today, guys, the big thing is there are 5 parts of the First Amendment that you need to be made aware of. In the First Amendment, what you get is the First Amendment protects what are known as the 5 freedoms. These are freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, and the right to petition. So petition, press, speech, assembly, and religion. Those are the ones that we are going to go through today and kind of explain what they actually mean, and then some of the issues that come up therein and with these different parts of this particular rule and right that you are all given. So this next one, guys, talks about the 5 parts of it. I'm not going to go in through all of that, so you guys can click on the YouTube video there. The first part, guys, is the idea of freedom of speech. The idea of freedom of speech is you can express your opinion without fear of the government trying to punish anyone. This idea is you can say what you want without fear of trying, like I said, that the government shouldn't be able to stop you. Now, that's not necessarily the case. All right. Are words the only way you can express yourself? So with freedom of speech, does that just mean only the things you say? Right, you literally have to say something, and that's the only thing that they can basically try to stop? No, there are different ways to say things, right, with freedom of speech, and that's what I wanted you guys to basically look at. What are some other ways to send a message without writing or saying something? All right, you don't have to write an email, you don't have to write a tweet or anything else. There are other ways that you can say stuff. Specifically, one of the things is like symbols. There are things that people see and do in all different ways, shapes, and forms that some folks may see as different ways. So like this right here is kind of a peace sign. All right, there are different types of speech that are protected in the First Amendment, right, of the United States. So if you're looking at all this stuff and you're trying to break it down, you know, how you want to say this, how you want to go about doing all these things, what kind of symbol will represent something that you might believe or not believe. So like in this one, you could draw some kind of peace sign if you wanted to, or you're basically just trying to create some kind of symbol for you guys to basically say, okay, this is what I believe is right, this is what I believe is wrong, or anywhere else in between. So that's up to you guys to basically go through and figure out for yourself. Okay, so the next thing that people have with those issues, are there limits to freedom of speech? Most people think freedom of speech means you can say whatever you want without any kind of fear of any consequence, or nobody can do anything to you. That's not necessarily what this means. There are limits to speech. This is the main issue with the freedom of speech that people have and that people seem to forget, and that causes a lot of problems. There are things that you can do that the government can stop you from doing. What types of speech do you think the government can limit? So these are some things. Okay, what is the stuff that the government could limit? Maybe, I don't know, maybe if it's upsetting, maybe if it's giving away secrets, maybe if it's untrue. Put an X through things that you think, all right, may not necessarily be fair for some people to say or do. So here's the deal. The freedom of speech can be limited if things are posing a danger to others, if it encourages violence, if somebody is basically promoting untrue statements, if somebody is giving away secret government information. All right, those 3 things can be stopped and be punished. If you are doing something that's encouraging violence, if it's a danger to other people, if you're promoting things that are untrue, if you're giving away government secrets that are meant to remain secret, that's where you can be stopped in any way, shape, or form. So no, freedom of speech doesn't mean you can say whatever you want at any time. Then most people would consider the freedom of speech to be the most important basic right that we have in the First Amendment. It guarantees debate of important issues and a lot of different things. So this is where you see a lot of issues that come up, a lot of different controversies come out of the freedom of speech in a lot of different ways, shapes, and forms that people don't really understand. You see a lot of different ideas that kind of go back and forth. The next freedom, out of those five, remember there's 5 freedoms in the very First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, is freedom of assembly. You kind of think of it like an assembly at school when you get together in the gym or the cafeteria or whatever it is you're getting together for. People are getting together to basically talk and work through all their different ideas and things that kind of happen. So it's the right for people to get together. We'll get together and do what? People can get together and protest and promote their political ideas or private ideas for different reasons. You can see right here, this is a picture of one of the marches on Washington, D.C. with the Washington Monument and the area as well for a lot of different ways, shapes, and forms. So this is the right for people to get together and most people would say protest. It's really just getting together to assemble and basically promote their ideas in different ways, shapes, and forms in different manners. So this is the second thing you get is the freedom of assembly. And it is the idea of how do we get this? It came from the original Intolerable Acts. So the Intolerable Acts was basically this concept and this idea that happened as a result of the British military trying to control the original American colony members. And you had things like the Boston Tea Party that would happen because people got together to protest the taxes on tea and imported goods. You started to see the Boston Massacre where you had different things where people shut down the Boston Harbor, people shut down the state of Massachusetts. They tried to basically force British soldiers into people's homes with the Quartering Act. You started to see a lot of different things. So this was the response, the basic idea that people should be allowed to get together, assemble, and protest some of these things that are happening in big numbers. The next one is just the idea of freedom of the press. It is the idea that people should be allowed to share information through newspapers, magazines, online, social media, whatever. Here's the problem with the freedom of the press. It goes back to the same thing as freedom of speech. If somebody's sharing dangerous information that causes people to riot, if somebody's sharing false information, or somebody's sharing government secrets that the government wants to remain secret, that could be seen as unconstitutional and a violation and can be stopped. So you get a lot of different ways that people share things nowadays through social media, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, all those other ways, TikTok, whatever you think of through social media. You see a lot of different problems. So can it be restricted? Absolutely, 100% without a doubt, if it falls under those dangerous misinformation categories. So this is, again, the freedom of the press where it causes some problems. If you want to get old school magazine or newspaper that is seen as seeing a lot of different things, you see a lot of different stuff that happens as a result of that. So what you then get here, kind of looking at it, what might the government be able to, when might the government be able to keep a news story from being published? Again, it goes back to those 3 big things. Is it dangerous? Is it misinformation? All right. That's probably the biggest thing that you need to go back and look at when you're talking about these things overall. Okay, the next one here is freedom of religion. This is the idea, guys, that anybody is able to practice something that's called an official religion. I'm not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that today because the official religion is actually determined. Right now, roughly, we have well over 100 different so-called official religions in the United States, and our government declares we do not have one to be a true official religion. There is no one religion that is official more than the others. Meaning, if you want to practice a religion, it's recognized, you cannot stop somebody else from practicing their religion as well. So you see a lot of different problems because some people think, hey, my religion is right, your religion is right. This is the idea of there is not one religion that is above the other. There's not one truly official. We have 135 official religions roughly right now. One is not supposed to be favored over the other. Causes a lot of problems for a lot of different people, as you can imagine. Then the last one here is the right to petition the government. This is basically the idea of saying, hey, we have the right to say when something is wrong. We have the right to say, hey, this is not right. I can complain about this. And it also guarantees that the government cannot punish somebody for complaining about the way things are being done. So this is where you start to see, hey, maybe we can have a couple of issues. So like for this particular assignment, we'll go through the thing together. And if you don't like the way the class is being run, you may be able to sit here and go through, okay, I want to write out and say, I don't necessarily like what's going on here. Maybe I want to change just a couple of different things. And you can literally write in what you want to change about your particular classroom and sign it off and do all these other different kinds of things. Say, hey, we want to make these changes. And then you can promote this and present this, say, hey, these are all the people that think this is wrong. It's an easy way to sit here and say, hey, these are all the people that think this is wrong. This needs to be changed. Will it get changed? Who knows? But this is probably a very powerful way if you have enough voices to show in writing that, look, this is not right right now, and these are the things that need to be done to fix and correct these things. So, again, 5 different freedoms. This next one, you've got 5 pictures. Out of these 5 pictures, each one of these is representing different things. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of petition, freedom of press. Which one of these pictures represents which one of those 5? Write over it, type over it. So like right here, if I wanted to write the word press in just a nice little marker that they give you right here, you can. All right, so you could literally just write it out as far as that stuff goes without too many issues, hopefully there. Okay, and the next one, fill in the blank stuff, guys. Literally match up your 5 freedoms you get from the freedom for the First Amendment, freedom of speech, press, petition, assembly, and religion, and go through it and then just match those up. So like right here, freedom of blank allows us to gather for meetings or protests. So you could literally put assembly right there, and there's your answer. Again, guys, this is where you have the last thing for a short little 4-question quiz, where you go through and you look at the purpose of the freedom of speech, and then you talk about the large crowd freedom, and then restriction freedom, and then the overall petition and what goes into it as well. So guys, make sure you have all that going through. Again, this is the main thing you get when you first show up in the United States of America with the First Amendment, that you get these 5 things that go through. First Amendment is considered the most important because you get some of the most 5 biggest and basic freedoms in the United States of America at any given time. All right, and that should be it for today for the First Amendment of the United States of America.